guys, welcome back to another episode of VoiceNoise. I am Daniel Panetta. Today we're going to be talking about something that's pretty important and something that a lot of people don't really take into account. It's vocal preservation. What is vocal preservation? Vocal preservation is just understanding what your voice is capable of. Remember the first episode when I talked about capability versus ability. Capability being what you're capable of doing without even discovering it yet. And what you're able to do is what you already know you can do. So this is going to be zoning in on ability. So what you know you're able to do. There are a lot of different versions of vocal preservation. I'm going to be dealing with as many as I possibly can today. If you have any more, leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Anyway, vocal preservation could be described as knowing what your voice can do in the moment, knowing what your voice can do in its range, or just general knowledge of being able to fall back on your technique and understand that your voice cannot be everything at once and you are not a superhero, even though I think you are. Anyway, vocal preservation in my life has come into play, especially after developing something called nodules. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's basically little calluses on your voice box or your vocal tissue, which render it a little bit more difficult to vibrate. So in turn, if your vocal cords aren't vibrating, you are cracking, you are losing your voice, you are blowing your voice out. It is not pretty, it is not fun. Some go to the extent of surgery to correct it, and some go to the extent of vocal silence for 9 months. I had the latter. Vocal silence for 9 months, no singing, no yelling, no whispering, just straight talking as light and as high in my placement as possible without sounding like a psychopath. Anyway, vocal preservation can go into different facets. So let's talk about vocal preservation in a gig. So when you're planning your gig, obviously you have some sort of a set list, a set of some kind where you have a list of songs. Now, if you're in bands like I've been in the past where we call out songs, this is where vocal preservation can come into play drastically. So it's understanding what your voice can do in the next immediate song. So if I'm singing a Stevie Wonder tune and then I jump into a Michael Jackson tune, I don't want to be jumping into another high singer's voice for song number 3. I want to bring it down a little bit in my range, not necessarily in the energy. Another thing to think about is give yourself enough breaks. So if you're in your 45-minute set or your hour-long set, knowing that there's certain pockets of time where you can actually take a breather, talk to your audience, or if you're more of a formal environment, then knowing to have your space and let your band do what they do best. Solos are your friend when your voice is tired. Just call out solos. Your band will back you up and they get to show off a little bit of their muscles. In terms of vocal preservation in the rehearsal space, you have to remember as vocalists that no one's expecting you to sing fully the entire rehearsal or be practicing the show time and time again. This is an opportunity to put the puzzle pieces together, sing your song once. If there's little things that need to be sanded off and figured out, just sing halfway. It's more for the band to get their cues, to get the rhythms down, to get some sort of understanding where you're at in the song. If you're going into a medley, knowing when to break off. You don't have to sing full out anymore. I have run into a lot of people who actually cause a lot more damage in rehearsal than they do in the show. And that's really unfortunate because they blow it out before the show and then the show is not half as good as they want it to be or half as good as they know it can be. So really important, try not to sing full out and full on at rehearsal for the whole rehearsal. When you're practicing, okay, let's talk about practice versus rehearsal for a second, okay? Practicing is sitting alone in your room, shedding out the song until you feel comfortable enough to bring it to rehearsal. Rehearsal's not a place to actually practice. Rehearsal's the place to kind of put your finishing touches on the song. If you're coming in unprepared, it's pretty unprofessional and you can actually cause some harm to yourself. Let's talk about vocal preservation at home. So we talked about practicing versus rehearsal, but what about if you're not a professional singer and you just love singing for fun, you go to your open mics, you go to your karaoke? Well, the main thing is just know what you're doing, know what your voice is capable of. If you're going up to sing Bohemian Rhapsody and you have a deep voice like mine, maybe not the best idea. However, it is a lot of fun, I understand, but get somebody who has a higher voice to sing those high Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor parts. If you're going to your open mic and it's a great opportunity for you to showcase, make sure you get enough rest before your performance. This is really important all around for your gigs, for your karaoke nights, for your open mics, for your showcases, anything. Make sure you get rest. Rest is the most important thing. You can't even imagine what repairing your voice does when you sleep or rest it. So make sure you're getting that well-deserved rest after a hard day's work practicing your tunes or shedding them out. Keep in mind that you have an ability that, it's pretty important to a band environment, especially a band that's being hired a lot. You want to make sure that you're giving your best every single time. Now, I have fallen guilty of not preserving my voice properly, and all I can say is that it shows. I feel worse about it than it probably turned out. Again, going back to what I talked about with Freddie Mercury and picking those alternative notes, I've had to kind of deal with that, especially with being on tour, with having a lot of shows back to back, or having 2 shows in one day. That's happened before. I don't recommend it. It was a lot of fun though. So just be mindful of where your voice is at health-wise. Let's talk about getting sick. I know it's a bit of a touchy subject right now with everything that's going on, but in a regular world, when we have shows, our bodies sometimes hate us and we get sick. It happens. What I recommend, maybe don't sing that show. I know it's hard. We love performing. We love being on stage. It's captivating. It's addicting. We cannot get enough of it. But if you're going to cause long-term damage in the future, then there are a lot more shows that you're going to be missing out on. So try and dial back on performances if you're not feeling well. If you have no choice, say you're signed to a professional label, or you have people who are committed to you or you're committed to them, the best thing I can say is the rest. Fall back on your technique a lot. Make sure you're taking your breaks. Make sure you're hydrated, okay? There's a bit of speculation when it comes to water, whether singers should drink room temperature water or ice cold water or hot tea. Basically, it's the rule of Pinky. If you could stick your finger in it for 5 seconds and it's not too hot or not too cold, it's safe for you to drink. Now, alcoholic beverages in mind, I don't recommend doing it before your show because you actually caramelize the vocal tissue and it's a lot harder for them to vibrate, and that's when we crack, that's when we get more dehydrated, and we resort to water anyway. So just stick to water. It's water. It's hydrating, it does its job, and you'll be better for it. If you have any questions about vocal preservation or want me to get deeper into it in later episodes, I definitely will. This might be a part 1 of a series of vocal preservation tips. Leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if there's anything specific that you want me to touch upon that really is bugging you or is concerning you. Remember that if you're experiencing any of the symptoms or anything that I'm talking about or have spoken about earlier, maybe consult your doctor and try and get a referral to an ears, nose, and throat or ENT specialist so that way they can see what exactly is going on if you have anything to be concerned about. Again, please remember, like, subscribe, share, let your other singer friends know that help is out there and I am more than willing to be a part of it. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you guys next time when we do another reaction video. Take care.